Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session on generative AI. Now, some of you may have heard about this term generative AI, and some of you might not have heard about it, but almost everybody is familiar with artificial intelligence. But in this session, we are going to uncover so many different aspects about artificial intelligence and the recent happenings in the space of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I'll just give you a glimpse of what we are going to cover in this session. So we will start by looking at what ANI and AGI is. Then we will look at how we can create intelligent machines, what are the different ways of creating them. And then we will see what are the different AI applications that we are using today. So knowingly or unknowingly, almost all of us are using quite a lot of AI applications. We will look at what they are and how exactly we are using AI in those applications. Then we will see what analytical AI is and generative AI is. Generative AI is something that's picking up very recently. So we will understand what generative AI is and how is it different from traditional AI or analytical AI that used to be very popular 4 to 5 years back. And then we will also look at what prompt engineering is. Now, this is a new field which is emerging, and there are a lot of jobs that are being created, which are prompt engineering jobs. So we will understand what prompt engineering is and what are those jobs. And we will also see the limitations of the generative AI at present. Now, some of these limitations can be broken in the very near future. Some might not be. And the space is continuously evolving. And we will understand what these limitations are. And maybe you might be one of those few people who work towards breaking these limitations and enhancing this technology. And then we will also see how you can build your own generative AI model. So all the models that you are hearing today, the Chat GPT or Midjourney, Dolly, or any of these models, the popular ones, the popular AI models, these are generative AI models. Now you will build one such generative AI model all by yourself. So we are going to look at that in this session. And towards the end, we are going to cover the endless opportunities that are being opened up in this AI space. And especially how you can grab these opportunities and make use of them and build your career in this AI. So we are going to cover all these very interesting things. Stay tuned, and we'll just start off this session by a simple question. So what is it that comes to your mind when you think about AI or ML, machine learning, or DL, deep learning? So these are the buzzwords, right? You might have heard about all of these terms. But what is it that strikes, that comes first in your mind? Just think about it. So some of you might have thought about the Robo movie, which is interesting, or a Terminator movie, or any such movie where there is some AI, some robot, some super intelligent being which is created and which attacks humanity or which supports humanity. But essentially, the super intelligent being is much more capable than what we human beings are. So whenever we speak of AI, some people might remember or some people might think about such super intelligent beings. And some of you might have thought about simple applications like Alexa or these other personal assistants, or you might have thought about your smartphone. When you think about your smartphone, there are a lot of AI applications in it, right from the voice assistant to maybe you can think of the face unlock. So whenever you are unlocking your smartphone, most of the smartphones nowadays are equipped with this face unlock feature, where you can just put your phone in front of you and it will just unlock if it recognizes that it is you. And then if somebody else takes up the phone, it will not unlock. So essentially, the mobile phone is recognizing whether it is you or whether it is not you, right? So that's one application of AI. So there are tons of such applications. You might have heard about driverless cars or self-driving cars. These are called as autonomous vehicles. And very recently, you might have also heard about applications like ChatGPT, which is becoming very popular these days. And some of you might have used it. If you have not used it, you can just Google ChatGPT and start using it. It is very interesting. So especially, it feels very refreshing, and you'll be in wonder, you'll be in awe of how this technology or how this space is evolving if you are using ChatGPT for the first time. I think most of you might have already used it. And then there are these text to image models like Midjourney, Dolly, and so many others, where you can just write a sentence in English describing what you are thinking about. Maybe you are thinking about an elephant walking in the sand on a beach. That might not happen in the real world, but you can just imagine the picture of an elephant walking on a beach in the cool blue water, right? But now, if you are an artist and if you have artistic skills, maybe you can start painting that picture and then everybody else can see it. But nowadays, you don't need to be an artist or you don't need to have all those skills. All you need is a good descriptive skill. So if you write whatever you are thinking, if you write it properly in English, and then there are AI models and there are AI applications which can take this English sentence and which can convert it to a very good looking image. So these are the different text to image models. We will also look at some of them in detail in today's session. So when I say AI, there are these wide variety of things that comes to your mind, right? And very importantly, among all these different things that we just discussed, there are broadly two different categories of AI which most people don't know about or don't realize. So what are they? So the first one is artificial general intelligence. Now, this is the kind of AI that can do everything that human beings can do and can even sometimes be much more intelligent than we human beings are. So these are the kind of the Chitti robot, if you have watched the Robo movie, or the Terminator in the Terminator movie, or any such sci-fi movies in which you see these artificial intelligence agents which are getting much better than human beings. So all of these, so this is the art called the artificial general intelligence. So all of these come under artificial general intelligence. And then there is the other segment, which is the artificial narrow intelligence. Now these are the specific applications. So AI that is good at one specific task, which can do really well in that particular task. It might even outperform a human being in that particular task. Say, for example, if you build an AI agent which can play chess. Now, there are so many AI bots, chess bots, which can play chess and which can beat the world chess champion very easily. So they are much better than human beings. But all that this AI can do is one specific task, which is of playing chess. Now, there are some other very specific AI applications which are very good at recognizing human faces. They might be sometimes recognizing the faces much better than an old person who might have some sight or something like that. So that means they are doing better than some of the human beings. But it is good at that one particular task, that is recognizing human faces. Now, similarly, all of these things which are good at one particular task, so all of this come under artificial narrow intelligence. So this is called as ANI. Now when we are speaking about AI, there are these two broad categories of AI, which is the artificial general intelligence and then the artificial narrow intelligence. Now a lot of progress has been made in the artificial narrow intelligence in the past 5 to 10 years, and there is very little progress that has been made in the artificial general intelligence space. But most of us think that when we say that AI is progressing and there are a lot of AI applications, it will give us an impression that, okay, we might be seeing something like Chitti Robo or the Terminator Robo very soon, or some of you might be scared that, okay, there might be machines that might be taking over all of humanity, and all of this conspiracy theories or whatever it is, speculations or things like that. So don't worry about all of those things. There has been very little progress that has been made in artificial general intelligence, and there has been quite a lot of progress that has been made in artificial narrow intelligence, and we have been benefiting a lot from the progress in artificial narrow intelligence. There are amazing applications of artificial narrow intelligence, and we will see some of them in today's session and we will discuss them in detail. Now you might be thinking, so what is this general intelligence? Can we just create it by training a robot to do several different narrow intelligence tasks? Say, for example, if you take a chat GPT. So now this chat GPT, which is coming up, which is becoming quite popular in these recent times. So it is good at many different tasks. It is good at content writing. It is good at solving coding problems, or it is good at solving some small puzzles. It is also even clearing some law examinations, and it is doing many different things. So there are quite a lot of applications, and there are quite a lot of things that quite a lot of tasks that ChatGPT is good at. But does it make it AGI? Is ChatGPT an AGI? No, ChatGPT is not an AGI. So when we are speaking about artificial general intelligence, we are talking about something that is human-like. So there are so many other different aspects than just doing some specific tasks. Making an agent, or making an application, or making a robot which is good at several of these individual tasks doesn't create an artificial general intelligence. When we speak about artificial general intelligence, now we are talking about something which can do logical reasoning, which can learn from real world experiences like we humans do, and which can understand and handle abstract concepts. Like, we human beings quite easily understand what is money, we can understand what is God, and other different abstract concepts. And we can adapt to new situations. When we go to a new area, we will adapt quite easily. So when to new environments, to new situations, to new people, to new languages, and we are very creative, and we are curious about many different things. We are curious about everything that comes across us in our daily lives, and we have scientific temperament. So even though something is you might not have seen something, but if something is appealing and constructed in a logical manner, you will try to see what it is, and you will try to understand the logic. So human beings are good at so many of these different things, and many more of these as well. So we also learn new skills every day. So when we are speaking about artificial general intelligence, we want this artificial general intelligence that should be able to do all of these things, not just few specific tasks. Maybe it is recognizing faces, or maybe it is solving some puzzles, writing some stories, poems, generating some music. But still, it is not an art. It is not a human being which can do much more. There are so many other subtle aspects of a human being. So something like emotions, which we are capable of, and which in any of the existing AI systems are not capable of. And there are so many other aspects. So it might take quite a while to get to AGI. And there are several debates as well. So there are a group of scientists which are arguing that applications like ChatGPT, when they are enhanced further, they might again eventually lead to artificial general intelligence. And there are a group of scientists who are arguing that these large language models which are powering ChatGPT, they don't lead to artificial general intelligence. So that the debate is like very active right now in the AI research space. You might also if you are interested, you can just Google about artificial general intelligence debates, and you can see very fascinating debates. Both the sides, the scientists and the researchers, the ML experts, they're arguing very passionately with all their viewpoints, and you can look at some of these debates. They're very interesting as well. But most of them, almost all of them, agree that it's not in the near future. That is, at least in the coming 5 to 10 years, we are nowhere close to AGI. And then sometime in the future, maybe we will get to a point where we will reach AGI, or maybe we may not. So, but till now, from what we have discussed, you must have understood that there is something called as ANI and there is something called as AGI, which most people, almost 95% of the people who know artificial intelligence, are not aware of this distinction. Now, going further, as I have told you before, there are some beautiful applications of artificial narrow intelligence which we are using every day. That doesn't mean that there is AGI which is going to come in the near future. So the progress in AI is completely different from the progress towards artificial general intelligence. Right now, we will look at some of these interesting applications of AI. So one such application is personal assistant like Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant. So you might have seen. So within this application, again, there are quite a lot of AI things that which are embedded into these applications. So the first thing is the voice to text. Now, when I speak, you will understand what I'm speaking. When I say a word, you know what I'm saying, right? But now your phone is also able to do this, right? So how is it possible? So that's with AI. So whenever I'm speaking something, whenever you are speaking something to these voice assistants, they're able to convert that into text. They are able to convert your voice into text. And then once it is converted into text, they are doing some search for the answer. Suppose you are asking, what is the capital of India? It will return New Delhi. Now, your voice, what is the capital of India, is converted to text. And then there is some intelligent search that is happening in the entire knowledge base. And then there are the results. So say, for example, the result is New Delhi. And then there is the assistant, which is converting this result again into voice. So the text is again converted back into speech. So the assistant might say you the capital of India is New Delhi or something like that. So there is some male voice or a female voice depending upon what you have configured in your phone. But even within this single application, even within this single smart assistant, there are multiple different AIs or machine learning applications which are embedded within the single application. So there is voice to text, there is AI based search for answers, there is text to speech, and there are some few other things as well. Now, if we take another example of autonomous vehicles, or you might have even heard about these ADAS features which are coming up in India in the recent times, especially the Mahindra and the Tata. They're announcing these ADAS features. When I say ADAS, it is Advanced Driver Assistance System. So ADAS. So they're releasing these ADAS features which are a small component of autonomous vehicle. When I say autonomous vehicle, a vehicle which is capable of driving completely on its own. And these are ADAS features which are being introduced recently into many of these cars. They don't allow the vehicle to drive on its own completely, but they're assisting the drivers in some of the cases. For example, they are assisting you to brake, emergency braking. So when there is sudden movement in front of the car, when some vehicle or an object or a person comes in front of the car, suddenly you might not be able to react that quickly, but the vehicle with all the cameras, the LiDAR sensors, it will react and it will do the braking for you. So this is one of the safety features, which is the ADAS feature, and you can Google about these ADAS features. So they are becoming quite a trend in the cars. So if you are somebody who is very enthusiastic about cars, you might have already heard about these things. So there is again a lot of AI which is going into building these ADAS features or building the autonomous vehicles. So for example, a few of the AI applications embedded into these are the real-time traffic analysis and time estimation systems. So planning, which is required for the optimal route planning. Now, if you want to reach to some other place, say if you are traveling say if you are in Hyderabad or Bangalore, and if you are traveling from one particular point to another, you know that the traffic is different at different points of time. Now, they need these AI systems, they consider all of this, they analyze the traffic and they estimate the time, and based upon that, they do optimal route planning. And in autonomous vehicles, the cameras, they detect objects in front of they detect different kinds of objects, the other cars, the movement of the other cars, the signals, the indicators, all of this is being done, and all of this is AI. And there are multiple different AI modules, not just you don't think of it as a single large AI system which goes into the autonomous vehicles, but there are many different components, multiple different modules of AI which are embedded into these autonomous vehicles. Now, these are some sophisticated examples which we just discussed, the personal assistants, the autonomous vehicles. But even simple applications like the Arogya Setu app, so during COVID times, you might have used this application. Even this is an AI app. Now, you might be wondering, what is so intelligent about this system? Just think about it. Now, what did you do, say, 100 years back or 50 years ago when you have some symptoms? You go to your nearest doctor, or if you are in a village, what would you do? You would go to a doctor or somebody who is well known about healthcare system. You would go to him and you would ask him, you would tell him your symptoms, and he'll ask you a few questions. He'll ask you a question like, what is your temperature, and whether it is above 1 or 2 or something like that, or he will measure probably the temperature using some mechanism or things like that. And then based upon that, he'll ask you a few more questions, and based upon the answers that you are giving and looking at the different symptoms, he might suggest you to do something. Now, isn't this an intelligence? So a doctor, being having studied medicine, is able to do that, right? So that's one kind of intelligence. Now, the same intelligence is embedded into a simple application with which you are interacting. Now, instead of going to a doctor, you are interacting with this application, which is why we are calling this an intelligent application, which is replacing what a human doctor would otherwise do. So otherwise you would have needed a human doctor, but now you are simply interacting with this application instead of a human doctor. That means this application in this particular aspect. Now, I'm not saying that the entire, whatever the doctor can do is being replaced by this application. I'm not saying that, but this one small aspect of identifying your COVID symptoms and suggesting what you have to do further. So this small aspect of it is being replaced by this application, right? So there is some AI in this simple Arogya Setu application as well. Now, when I say this, now you might be wondering, what is AI? So what is AI? I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about applications of AI, different, some of the sophisticated applications, some simple applications. But the question is still there. What is AI? So artificial intelligence, it's a branch of computer science, broadly speaking, and it is defined as the science of creation of intelligent machines. So artificial intelligence is creation of intelligent machines. When I say this, again, another question might trigger in your head. What is it? So how do we create these intelligent machines? So when I say artificial intelligence is creation of intelligent machines or making the machines intelligent, now how do we make these machines intelligent? How do we create such intelligent machines? Now, broadly, there are two different ways, and there are actually, in fact, multiple ways of creating these intelligent machines. But broadly speaking, one way of creating these intelligent machines is to program the machine or the application to be intelligent or to exhibit intelligence. Now, if you take the example of Arogya Setu app, now there is this smartphone, right? When I say a machine, creation of intelligent machines, the machine need not be something which is like a robot or a Terminator. Even this laptop is a machine, the watch is a machine, right? So even the AC is a machine. So we can make any machine intelligent. So your phone, which used to be very dumb, is becoming intelligent and more and more intelligent. And now you call it a smartphone, right? Because it's becoming more and more smart, in the sense that it's becoming more intelligent. Now, one of the applications, so in your smartphone, is the Arogya Setu app. Now, by installing this application into the machine, we are making it intelligent. Now, what goes into this application? So essentially, what we are doing is we are programming this application with the knowledge of medicine that we have, which is the human intelligence. So few human beings or the doctors who came up with this, who studied many different things and who came up with these few simple rules, of saying that if you have a temperature above this, you should do this, or if you have a temperature below this, and then if you have this other symptom, you should do this. So they came up with these few simple set of rules or guidelines for us. Now, by programming these guidelines into an application, we are making the machine intelligent. So this is one way of creating intelligent machines. That is, we ourselves are intelligent and we know how to do certain things in smart, intelligent way, and we are programming the machines to do the same thing. We are trying to replicate the human behavior, and we are writing a program to do so. So in some of the situations, it is possible to do that, and that is one way to create intelligent machines. So that is programming machines to exhibit intelligence that otherwise human beings possess. Now there is this other way to create these intelligent machines, which is making the machines understand patterns like we human beings do. So especially human beings are very good at this, recognizing different patterns, right? Now, when you look at certain things, you easily understand these patterns. Now, making the machines also understand these patterns. Now, we human beings, we have eyes, ears, and no smell. We have all these senses, and we will take in information from our surroundings through these sense organs, and then we identify the patterns in them, and we come up with some using these patterns, we make up some logic, or we make up some conclusions and do many different things, right? But how do the machines get this? So we pass in the data. So we pass in the video data, the audio data, the textual data, and so many different kinds of data. We pass all of this data to the machine, and we will make these machines understand the underlying patterns from all of this data. Now, this is the another way in which we can make the machines intelligent. So this way is called as machine learning. Now you might have understood what this machine learning is. Now we are making the machine learn by itself, like how we human beings do. So we understood different patterns when our parents spoke different words to us. We kept on listening all those words, and we understood the patterns in those words, and we started analyzing those patterns. Our brain did all of this. You might not have consciously did all of that, but our human mind, human brain, it understood all those patterns, and slowly you started picking up, you started speaking, and maybe initially you did some mistakes, you corrected yourself, or somebody helped you to correct, and then now you're very fluent at speaking, right? Now similarly, a machine can also take in some data, information, and can learn some patterns and become good at some certain tasks, doing certain tasks, or making certain predictions. Now, this particular thing is called as machine learning. So machines identifying patterns from the data and learning by themselves. This is called as machine learning. Now, again, if someone asks you what is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning, now you will be able to answer it very crisply. So machine learning is again a subfield of artificial intelligence, and which gives the computers the ability to learn without writing, without being explicitly programmed. Now we have seen that the first way of creating the intelligent machines is to explicitly write some programs, say like Arogya Setu, and make these machines intelligent. But with machine learning, you don't have to do that. And also think about it, it is not always possible to write some logical programs to make the machines intelligent. Say for example, now, how do you recognize your friend or your mother or your father? So is there any logic? Can you define a step-by-step logic with which you do that? So every time when you are recognizing somebody on a photo, or when you look at them in person, so do you calculate like, okay, the nose length is this much, the eyes are this much wide, and this, so that is why this is this particular person A, or that is why he is my brother. You don't do all of that, right? So you somehow naturally understand the underlying pattern, and then your mind automatically recognizes it. There is no logical program, and it is also not possible to write these logical programs, right? So the face unlock that happens in your phone, so nobody programmed that phone or wrote some rules saying that if the length of the nose is this much, then it is this person, otherwise it is that other person. Rather, what they did is they just give the photos of you and the other people across the world, and then the machine itself it learns the underlying patterns in the data, and that's how it becomes smart and intelligent. And this is the other way of programming the machines to become intelligent, or making the machines intelligent, which is the machine learning way. Now, again, what is machine learning? It is a subfield of AI that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. Now, you might have understood what I mean when I say explicitly programmed. We are not writing any specific rules here. Rather, we are just passing in the data, a huge amounts of data. Maybe the data is of your photos and the photos of other people across the world. And then the machine itself is becoming intelligent. It is learning from all of this data. It is learning the underlying patterns, and it is becoming intelligent, and it is able to recognize your photo, or whenever you come up in the in front of your mobile phone, it is able to recognize you, right? Now, how do you recognize? How do you make the machines learn these underlying patterns in the data? So there are multiple different methods, multiple different techniques to make the machines do recognize these underlying patterns and learn. So one among those multiple different techniques is called as deep learning. Now, I'm not going to delve into what exactly is deep learning in this session, but to give you an overview, since these are the terms that you constantly come across: artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. So I just wanted to give an overview for you to understand what exactly these mean. So machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence, as we have just seen, and deep learning is similarly one way of doing machine learning. So it is, we can learn the underlying patterns. We can make the machines learn the underlying patterns in multiple different ways, and one such technique or one such way is called as deep learning. And this deep learning is based on some of the things like how we human being, it is not exactly replicating how the human brain works, but it is at a very high level, it is using some of the concepts of how human brain works, and which has become quite popular these days. Most of the recent developments in artificial intelligence and machine learning is through deep learning. So that's why you keep hearing this term deep learning, and it has become quite popular. So you are using, whether you realize it or not, you are using tons of applications of machine learning and deep learning. And I'll just quickly glance through some of these. So if you are using social media, and of course you will be using Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so many other social media applications. So maybe LinkedIn as well. So in all of these applications, there is machine learning. There are many different machine learning modules or machine learning components in them. There are deep learning components in them. Say, for example, for the personalized feed, when you open your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, or when your friend opens it, you both get completely different feed, right? So the stories that you get are completely different. So it is personalized for you. So how is it happening? It is happening through machine learning and deep learning. And then the friend or follower suggestions, maybe if you upload a photo onto these applications, they'll detect the faces, or they'll also, the advertisements that you get are completely different to that of what your friend gets, right? So all of this uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. And the video streaming applications, the Prime Video, Hotstar, AHA, the Netflix, and so many of other video streaming applications, they use the machine learning. They use it for content recommendations, for personalizing the thumbnails that you see whenever you open the app. They use it even for language translations and content production as well. And if you are doing online shopping on e-commerce websites like Amazon, Flipkart, again, there are tons of machine learning modules or machine learning components in all of these applications. And if you are using the food delivery services like Swiggy, Zomato, or if you are using the cab services like Ola or Uber, again, there is a lot of machine learning that is going into route planning, time estimations, assigning an optimal agent for you who is nearby you with very good rating. And then there are so many recommendations that come up in Swiggy and Zomato. All of these are powered by machine learning and deep learning. So to just give you a quick glimpse of what we have seen so far, we have understood what artificial intelligence is, and we have seen the difference between artificial narrow intelligence and artificial general intelligence. And then we have seen what artificial intelligence is. What is it? Artificial intelligence is the creation of intelligent machines, right? And we have seen what are the different ways in which we can create the intelligent machines. We have seen that broadly there are two different ways, and there are few other ways as well. And then we have looked at quite the differences between the AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, right? Now, if someone talks to you about these three different terms, you will be able to clearly understand, or maybe you will be able to speak about all these three terms very clearly. And then we have also seen the different AI applications that we are already using today, knowingly or unknowingly. There are so many different machine learning components or modules in several different apps that you use day in and day out. So these are the things that we have covered today, and you might have already known some of these things as well already. But going further, we will look at the very emerging topic in the artificial intelligence space in the past few, especially the past few months, to say, so which is the generative AI. Now we will understand what this generative AI is and how is it different from the traditional AI or all the different applications that we have discussed so far. In all of our previous examples, we have understood that the machines are capable of analyzing huge amounts of data, and they're capable of predicting certain things, with which we have built so many different applications, right? So all of this, where the machines analyze huge amounts of data and make some predictions, all of this comes under the analytical AI or the traditional AI. Now, if you look at many of these applications, be it the forecasting or maybe the ADAS features, the advanced driver assistant features, or the autonomous vehicles, or the smart assistants, or the predictions, or the recommendations that you see in your video streaming applications, or the different kinds of machine learning modules that we have seen in the social media applications, the natural language processing applications, that is the speech to text conversion and the text to speech generation, and so many of these applications, the face unlock, all of these applications, you would not have imagined that these were possible, say 20 years ago or 25 years ago, right? So if you go back 20 years, 25 years, many of these applications, they almost felt like, okay, this is not possible with the technology. So how can a machine, or how can a machine identify a human being and say whether this is me or whether this is my friend? So that's not possible. So that was the scenario if you go back 25 to 30 years, right? But right now, the machines are capable of handling or taking huge amounts of data, learn the underlying patterns, and we are able to build so many of these very interesting and innovative applications. And if you take even 3 years ago or 3 to 5 years ago, we thought that, okay, machines are getting good at these analytical tasks, but we thought that, okay, they'll not be able to do any of the creative tasks that we do. So something creative like writing poetry, or writing a new story, or composing music, or designing new products, or painting, or an artwork, or designing some games or characters, or things like this. So all of these, if you see, the common thing in all of this is we are not analyzing any of the existing data, but we are generating new kind of information, new kind of data, right? So all of these are generative tasks or creative tasks. So even if you go back 3 to 5 years, We knew that AI is evolving 3 to 5 years ago, and we knew that AI is getting really good at many of these other analytical tasks like forecasting, predictions, natural language processing. But again, most of the people thought that okay, that's where the AI will stop, as in these are the different analytical tasks which human beings were able to do previously. Now AI is also able to do, but AI might not be able to do any of the creative tasks that we human beings are capable of. So, but the current state of the art AI is able to do all of these creative tasks as well, which is called as the generative AI, where the AI is generating new things. So it is writing poetry like we human beings do. So when I say poetry, it is not just giving out or spitting out any some random things, but the poem actually looks as if it is being written by some very good poet. And when I say composing music, the music is not some random noise. It sounds as if some musician or a music director has created that music. When it's giving some paintings or artwork, you can see if you just Google Midjourney and if you look at the different artistic works that are being created, you will be amazed. Human beings will not be able to produce the artwork in such huge quantities. The AI is able to do now. So again, if you go back 5 to 10 years, you will not imagine a computer or a smart machine or your smartphone being able to generate artwork, right? But right now, the AI is capable of doing all of these different things. And all of this come under the umbrella of generative AI, where we are generating text, and when we say text, we are generating stories, poetry, jokes, and so many different things. And we are generating images, art, architecture, and so many of these images, and then the audio as well. So we are able to generate the music, the speech as if it's delivered by a particular person, and then we are also able to create videos. The AI is able to create a video, and it's also able to create 3D models which are used in the games or again in movies or any other different other creative domains. And it is also even able to write code. So human beings, we thought that okay, we are very smart, we will write software and we will make machines do all of the different works that we are doing by just sitting in front of a laptop and writing software. We thought that we are smart and we are capable of writing smart code, and we are capable of making machines work for us. Now if you see, even the AI is able to write the code similar to how human beings are writing the code. Now, at the current state, it might not be able to produce or build applications like we do, but still, it is able to write pieces of code which can solve few problems, even though the problems might be tiny and small at this point in time. But still, the AI is capable of writing code as well. Now think about it. Now think about how this space, this entire space of generative AI is going to change the world. Now, definitely the AI, the advent of AI has changed a lot of things for us. Now, as we have just discussed previously, we are using tons of applications of analytical AI, knowingly or unknowingly. The analytical AI has evolved quite a lot in the past few decades, especially the past 2 decades, and we are now using tons of applications of this analytical AI. Now, the generative AI has just begun. The progress or the growth in generative AI has begun, maybe you can say 3 to 5 years. It has just started 3 to 5 years ago, and now, right now, it's rising up. And you can now imagine what it will be 10 years or 15 years down the line. So this is again an analysis done by one of the very prominent investors who are the Sequoia Sequoia is a venture capital firm. They invest in the startups and upcoming startups, and especially in the technology startups. And they have again given out the different forms of generative AI. So you can see the text, the code, the image, speech, video, 3D, and others. So there are at the bottom there are the different models or the research, the ML research that is being done. So the different models that are being done in all these different spaces. And then at the top, you can see in the green the applications, the different applications of the generative AI. Now, this is a little older research paper. The image that you're looking at is from a little older one. When I say older, it's just an year ago. But within this 1 year, there is a ton of progress. You might not see many of the latest developments in that image. So, for example, you can see the GPT-4 came out very recently, and then there are this Deep Floyd, Falcon. So there is Midjourney. So there are just so many different things that came up within the past 4 to 5 months. So the progress in the generative AI space is rapid, quite rapid. There are so many different models that are being built day in, day out. So there are big companies, multinational companies, which are spending millions of dollars in creating these generative AI machine learning models. And on top of these base models, there will be several applications that will come out in the near future. For example, there are already a few applications like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot. So GitHub Copilot is an assistant for software engineers. If you use GitHub Copilot, you will be able to write code much easily, much quickly. So there have been claims that the software engineers are able to increase their productivity by 30% approximately using GitHub Copilot. Now, all of these are different generative AI applications. There is a lot of research and investment going into this space. Some of these models are even open source, which means even you and I can take these models and build applications on top of them. So now you can imagine the vast number of domains which will be impacted with the growth in this generative AI. So almost all of the domains will be impacted. So you can see a few applications that I can just share you right now. So if we go into the depths of it, if we keep digging into it, so we will come up with hundreds and hundreds of applications. But just to list a few, so we have written something like copywriting. Now, all the salespersons or the marketing people or maybe the customer support teams. So every company has every large company has hundreds of these people, right? So now what do? They write emails to their clients or the customers and trying to convince them. They try to write the emails in a personalized way. Now all of this will be assisted. And I'm stressing again, it might not be all of the work might not be replaced by generative AI, but it will definitely be assisted by generative AI. Now, a salesperson or a marketing agent or you can think of maybe a customer support agent. All of these people might not be replaced completely by the advancements in the generative AI, but they will definitely be assisted with generative AI. Now, somebody who is using these generative AI applications, they will improve their productivity quite a lot. They will the quality of their output will increase, the quantity of their output will increase, and they will become probably one of the best employees among the others if the others are not adopting these generative AI technologies. So it is very important for especially the new generation to adopt these technologies, to learn, to know about these technologies, and because they're not just impacting one particular domain, they will impact every domain. Right. So say, for example, if you go to vertical specific writing assistance, what do we mean by this is, so if you take law, so there are so many things in the law, right? So which you might not be aware of. But again, a machine learning model, which is trained on so many of these legal documents, it will be able to assist somebody, a lawyer or an assistant to a lawyer, and it will make their life very easy. They will be able to write new things in a very easy way. And code generation. So we just discussed about GitHub Copilot and how it is making the software engineers much more productive. And artists, so all the artists, they must adopt these new technologies. So especially the digital artists. So if they are not going to use these new technologies, they might be able to produce a few artworks in months. But if they are using these new advancements, they might be able to produce quite a lot of artwork, which is much more creative and innovative, and the quantity of the output and the quality of the output will be increased. And so many other domains as well. Now, I'm not going into the details of each and every one of it, but almost all of the domains will be impacted with the advancements in the generative AI. And there are applications across wide variety of domains. Now, when I say all of this, you might be wondering, how does it work? How does it actually work? Now, within this small session, I cannot go into the technical details of how these machine learning models, especially how the generative AI works. But I'll just give you a rough idea at a very high level. So what is happening with all of this generative AI is that, so there are these large sophisticated models that are being produced. How are they being produced? Huge amounts of data is being fed into the computers or the machines. So the computers, and also with the latest advancements in the research, there are new techniques that are being developed. What are these techniques? These techniques help the machines or the computers understand the underlying patterns in the huge amounts of data. So if we are feeding the machine with huge amounts of textual data, so all the text data in that, suppose if I feed the machine with all the text data that is available in the internet, say all of the Wikipedia data, all of the information on Reddit or Stack Overflow or so many of these websites, Quora, all the social media websites, or so many other online platforms, many different open blogs. If I feed in a computer with all of this information, it might feel like a garbage to the machine because you are dumping it with a lot of information. But with the right advancements in machine learning, that is, the machine learning engineers are coming up with newer and newer advancements. The recent advancements are the GPT, what you are hearing, the GPT, the transformer. So that's an advancement in the technology. With the help of this transformer, what happened is now the machines are becoming powerful in understanding the underlying patterns in all of this data. Now, when they understand the underlying pattern in all of this data, they are able to create large sophisticated models. Now, this model captures something which is in this entire data, which represents this entire data. And now this model acts as something smart. Now, it has all the knowledge. It is somehow learning the underlying patterns in the data, and it is becoming a little intelligent and smart. That means it is capturing the underlying knowledge in all of the data. Now, the captured knowledge is in these large sophisticated models. Now, this large sophisticated models, since they have captured the knowledge, now if you give a small prompt to it, say for example, if you ask it to generate an image of an elephant walking on a beach in a cool blue water in the background. Now, somehow the models, the large sophisticated model, it has captured the knowledge in all of the image data that it has seen, in all of the textual data that it has seen. And now, like how a human artist is capable of drawing this particular image, now the model is also able to generate such image. So that is how it is working now. But Remember, it still needs a good prompt from you. So if you just write elephant with water in the background, it might not be able to give the output that you are visualizing. You should be able to give a really good prompt or really good input. So these inputs are called as prompts. Now if you give really good inputs or really good prompts to these large sophisticated models, it will give you some cool generative AI outputs. These outputs can be image outputs, these outputs can be textual outputs. Maybe you will ask these large sophisticated models, you can ask them to write poetry for you, write jokes for you, which are the textual outputs. You can ask it to give you images of beautiful sceneries or images of some weird character that you are imagining of. You can maybe imagine how would it look like if you combine a horse and a tiger and an elephant. So that's very crazy, but you can still ask it to generate something like that. So all of this, these large sophisticated models are able to generate the images, they are able to generate the audio, they are able to generate text, even they are able to generate video and 3D models and so many more things as well. Now, among all these different things, now I'm not claiming or stating that all of these are really good at this point of time. No, they're not very good, but some of them are very good, especially the textual models, the models which are able to generate text. They are becoming very good, and the image models are also becoming better and better. Say, for example, if you want to try any of these, you can just open one of these apps. So there are these AI chat applications. So if you have already tried ChatGPT or Google Bard, well and good, because you might have been hearing this left and right all everywhere in the news, on Twitter, on everybody is nowadays crazy about ChatGPT and Google Bard. So it didn't happen. The ChatGPT and Google, but all of this didn't happen overnight. So there have been huge amount of work that has been put into it from last 3 to 5 years, and the generative AI space is evolving. And now these are the fruits or applications that we are seeing in the text domain, the ChatGPT, the Bard, and there are open source applications as well with like Vicuna or the Open Assistant. Now, don't worry. We will give you a document with links to all of these. Post this. So don't worry about all of this, or you can even just Google these terms and you will get links to all of them, and you can try out. You can experiment with all of them. Now, similarly, there are so many different text to image applications as well. So some of them are open source. Some of them maybe you might have initially they are free for trials. So you can go and try out few prompts and try to generate beautiful looking images. And then or artwork, so or whatever the creative thoughts that you have, you can put it out there. So, and these are the Dream Studio, the Playground AI, the Mid Journey, the Dolly 2. You can just Google these terms. You can find the links and you can try them out. So there are these different models, but the key thing here is, again, whenever you are using these sophisticated models, you have seen here, a good prompt will give a good output. So now if you might be visualizing something in your head, and if you don't give a good prompt, it might not return in a good output. So which is why a new something called as prompt engineering is becoming quite popular. With the rise in generative AI, the prompt engineering is becoming quite popular because now the prompts are becoming more important, right? Prompts are gaining significance. Now, a large sophisticated model can probably write code for you like a software engineer does, but you need to give a right prompt to it to get the right code. So you can be an artist. You can be a really good artist if you can give really good prompts. You can be a really good musician if you can give really good prompts. You can be a good software engineer if you are able to write really good prompts. So which is why this new, you can think of it as a job segment called prompt engineering is becoming quite popular these days. Now let's try to all of it, if I'm saying it in the air, you might not be able to understand the importance of prompts. Now I will let's do some hands-on and see in one of the applications which I have just shown you. I'll show you how giving a good prompt will change the output and why the prompt engineering is very important. Now, suppose you want to make use of these large language models to help you with writing an essay. Maybe you got an assignment or something like that, and you want to write an essay about friendship or importance of friendship or something like that. Now, what you can do is, as we have just seen, there are many chat models to experiment with. So you can just simply go to Google and search for any of the models that we have just seen. So say, for example, if you just type chat GPT, you can already see so many suggestions coming up. So there is this, you can click on the first link, and this is just a blog showing you about ChatGPT, and you can click on try ChatGPT. Now, if you are opening ChatGPT for the first time, it may ask you to sign up. So you can just click on the sign up button, and then there are multiple different ways for you to sign up. You can sign up with your email address or with your Google account or Microsoft account. So you can just sign up, and once you have signed up for ChatGPT, you can then just simply log into it. So you can click here on the login button, and then you can log into ChatGPT. So once you have signed up and made a successful login, you will be taken to a screen which is looking something like this. So there are a few examples as well for you, and there are these capabilities that are listed, and there are certain limitations that they are listing. So you can read all of them carefully if you have come here for the first time. But if you have already used it, then it's well and good. Now, similar to ChatGPT, there are other such models as well with which you can interact. For example, Bard is one such model. So you can simply enter bard.google.com. So you can visit the website bard, B-A-R-D, bard.google.com. You can see the URL here. Or you can simply Google Bard and you will get it as a first link. And if you open the link, you will come up with a UI which is something like this. Here you have again an interface where you can chat with this particular large language model. Similarly, there is another open source model which is called as Open Assistant. So you can visit this website open-assistant.io, or you can just Google Open Assistant. And you can it will probably be in the top 2 or 3 results. And then you can click on the try our assistant, and then maybe here they'll again ask for you to sign up. So you can sign up with a Discord or an email or your Google account. So assuming you all have a Google account, you can use this Google account in all these places to sign up for these chat models, which are the large language models. And for now, these are the interfaces with which we will interact with these large language models. There are other interfaces as well which are a little more sophisticated. We will not go into them in this session. For now, we will interact with ChatGPT. Now, coming back to our problem, so we want this large language model to write an essay on friendship. So we need to give a prompt for it to write an essay on friendship. So I'm just asking it an essay on friendship. So this is the prompt. Now, an essay on friendship, this text which we have entered here, this is called as the prompt. And now I'm just clicking the enter button. So you can see here, it started writing this essay. So it says title, The Beauty and Significance of Friendship. And then it has written an introduction. It has written a body saying mutual trust and support and all these things. Now, it is, again, it didn't stop. It kept on writing. It wrote 5 different points saying mutual trust and support, shared experience and memories, emotional well-being, personal growth and influence, unconditional acceptance and authenticity, conclude. And then there is a conclusion. Now you can go and read it. So with the small prompt that you gave, so which is just, what is it? An essay on friendship. So that was just the prompt that you gave. With this small prompt, it has written such a big essay. So it is generating this content. So which is why we call it the generative AI, right? So has generated this content from all of the knowledge that it has captured within itself, within the model. Now, but you might not like this format of essay or this style of writing. It is little very formal. Now, you might want to actually write an essay. You need an essay which is a little funny with some jokes and things like that. Now, how do you make it give such an essay? So, for it to give such an essay, now if you just think that you want a funny or an essay which looks in a particular way or with this particular style of writing, and if you could just give a prompt, an essay on friendship, it might not give you because it doesn't understand what is it that you're looking for. So you have to explicitly mention that. So that is what we call it as prompt engineering. Now you are engineering these prompts so that you will get the required output that you actually want, that you are desiring to get as an output from this large language model. So in this case, what I'm saying is, now I don't want such a big essay. I want it to be pretty short. So I'll describe it in this way. Now write me a very short essay on friendship. Now again, it gave the title, The Essence of Friendship. This time it's very short, right? So now you change your prompt. Now you change your prompt to write me a very short essay on friendship. Now you are explicitly describing it to write a very short essay. So you need to add these kind of descriptors. We call them descriptors for the large language models to understand what you actually want from it. So now I want this essay to be a little funny. So then I need to add more descriptors. So I'll say, write me a very short essay on friendship. Make it a little funny. Now this time you can see that the style of writing will change with the prompt. So you can see the title itself is also reflecting the hilarious chaos of friendship. So it is, but it still wrote a little bigger essay. Now you might want a small paragraph which is about friendship and which is a little funny, but this is a funny, probably. I can't read it, all of it. So for us, the time is not sufficient. When you are doing all these experiments, try to go through what it is coming up with. For each of the prompt, try to see the outputs, read through them. You'll also get the insights into how these large language models are responding to different kinds of input. Now, in all of these cases, what I'm getting is an essay on a friendship. But all these essays are very different. So you can see that at the outlook itself, they are very different. Now, if you go and read them, definitely they'll be completely different. So you are changing the prompts and you are getting a completely different output. Now you are not writing a very large prompt. With small minor changes in the prompt also, you are getting a very different output. Now this is what is called as prompt engineering. Now you try to engineer these prompts, you try to change them, tweak them so that you will get your desired output. Say in this particular case, now I want a funny thing on a funny essay on a friendship, but I don't want it to be this long. So what I'll do is I'll change my prompt to saying that write me a very short, I'll call it a paragraph not exceeding 300 words, or maybe I'll just say 200 words on friendship. This paragraph should be little funny. So let's see what it comes up with. You can now see that it is not long, so it is short, since I just said a paragraph instead of an essay, and since I have explicitly mentioned not exceeding 200 words, so it is now short. It kept it short. Now I think it will definitely be a little funny. You can see here there is feel like a comedy sketch. I'm not reading it again now, so keeping the time of the session in mind, but you can understand the essence of what I'm trying to do here. Now I'm trying to interact with these large language models, and now I'm trying to make my prompts. I'm engineering my prompts so that I get what I want. Now, again, to give you a few examples, you can also ask it to write in a particular style. So maybe you can ask it to write me a very short paragraph. I'm just copying this on friendship in the style of, say, some prominent old writers, say like in the style of Mark Twain. You can see definitely there will be a significant change in the way it writes the essay. So sometimes these tools, when you are using, they might take some time because a lot of users are using online these days. These tools have become quite a popular. So sometimes you might have to wait. They'll test your patience. Sometimes it throws out some small errors. You can just refresh here and then again try again, or you can start it as a fresh chat and try again if you face any issues when you are experimenting with this chat GPT. So you can see friendship. So previously it wrote something like friendship is like having a personal stand-up comedian on call, ready to crack jokes and brighten your day. And now you can see friendship, oh, the splendid essence of human connection. It is a sacred bond that weaves souls together. So the style of writing is completely different, right? How did it change? Just with the change in the prompt. So I have asked it to write in the style of Mark Twain. So it is writing to me in the style of Mark Twain. Now, in all these cases, all I'm doing is I'm getting a essay or a short paragraph on friendship, but these are completely different essays written in a completely different style. So my requirement might be some particular thing. So in order to reach, or in order to get to that what I desire, so I have to tweak my prompts, I have to change, I have to play around with them. So this process is called as prompt engineering. Now, coming to the other large models, so these are the image models. So we have also discussed there are really good image models. So one such model is the stable diffusion model. So in order to access this stable diffusion model, you can see on the website. So this is the beta.dreamstudio.ai. Again, here you might have to log in and you might have to do your sign up. If you have not signed up before, you can create your account with your email ID, and then you can just log in. So if you are coming here for the first time, it will ask you to accept a certain things. You can just simply press on the accept, and it will show you a walkthrough. It will give you a walkthrough of what this website is and how you can make use of this website, so that you can do it. You can follow the walkthrough and understand how you can make use of this website. Now, once you can see here, there is this prompt, and you can write what you want here. So there is a prompt which is already filled here for me. So stylish and contemporary hotel with a unique form and facade. So since this is a text to image model, now whatever I'm writing here, it will be depicted visually. So it will be converted into an image. So the model will take in this text input, understand what's in there, and try to create an image based upon this description. So now if I click the dream button, you can see that the stylish and contemporary hotel with a unique form and facade featuring luxury amenities and stunning views. So you can see, so these are the 4 different variations that are created based on the input that I gave. Now, can you imagine, these are not the photographs taken by some photographer somewhere and stored in a website and displayed to you. These are the images which are just created by AI based upon the description that we gave. So you can also try your own descriptions. Now suppose, again, here prompt engineering becomes very crucial. If you just look at this prompt, it is describing it in a very neat way. So stylish and contemporary hotel with a unique form and facade, featuring luxury amenities and stunning views, modern visually stunning. Now all of this make up a very good prompt, which is why you are seeing the output that you are seeing. Now if I just give it a prompt as a simple a hotel room, definitely I won't get something which is as stunning and as visually as pleasing as it was before. Let's just wait for the results and see. See, these are good, but the views are not really as stunning as we want, and it is not as vibrant as the previous outputs are. You can see if you just look at these previous outputs, the views are really stunning from the hotel room. If you look out, they have a stunning view because we described it in the prompt. You can see that hotel with a unique facade and form and stunning views. So suppose you are thinking about a hotel room with a very beautiful view, if you look at it from the window and all that, but you are not describing all of it. If you are not writing it in the prompt, and if you have just written a hotel room, now you might get an output something like this. This is just a hotel room. It's also good, but it is not representing what you actually want. Suppose you want a hotel room with stunning views. That's not what you got here, right? The core essence that you have to understand here is I am engineering the prompts in order to get the outputs that I want. So in this way, I've just tried out with a hotel room since it was a suggestion that I first got when I opened this website. You might get something else. Now you can create all different kinds of your favorite imaginations, like stunning hotel rooms, stunning architectures, buildings, cars, so many different things. Your creativity and your imagination is the limit. There is no other limit, but it is very important for you to write proper prompts. So that is why they even have prompt guides. So if you go to the Dream Studio, you can search for Stable Diffusion prompt guide, and there are a lot of prompt guides that are available. There are few official ones, and then there are the ones that are created by artists and other people who have tried out various different prompts and have seen what is working and what is not. And similarly, there is Dolly as well. So you can try this Dolly model, which is an OpenAI model. And then there is a website called playgroundai.com. So you can also open this playgroundai.com and you can get started. You can again continue with your Google account, and all of this, most of this, you can just log in with your Google account, and then you can start using them straight away. And some of them might require you to purchase some credits. Now, I don't recommend you to go and buy these credits, but there will be few free credits given to you at the time of sign up. You can make use of them and you can try to finish them as much as you want. And most of these websites have a really good walkthrough. That is, when you first open them, they'll explain what each and every different aspect of this website is and how to use that particular website. Go through all of them in detail and you'll get familiar with them and create. With all of this, you can create amazing outputs and a beautiful, you can see, your imagination is the limit again. So keep that in mind and create these wonderful artworks. And once you have created them, you can share it on social media and you can share it on the other platforms as well, so that your friends also will get inspired. So when you're sharing, you tag it as generative AI and you write a few things that you have learned in this session. You can mention this session so that your friends will also, it's not just about the image that you have created, or it's not just about the prompt that you came up with after multiple iterations and multiple trials, but it is also about sharing about this new upcoming technologies with your friends so that they will also get inspired and they'll start learning about all these cool new things. And again, you all together can collaborate and work and create some wonderful things. So far, we have looked at quite a lot of things. You have learned so many new things today already. So we'll just quickly recap what we have seen so far and then we'll go forward. So we started by understanding what ANI is, artificial narrow intelligence, and what AGI, artificial general intelligence, is, and how the progress in both of them do not correspond to each other. And then we have seen what AI is, the creation of intelligent machines, and we have understood the difference between AI, machine learning, and deep learning. Now you are very clear of all of these terms, and we have also looked at many different applications of machine learning or artificial intelligence in your day-to-day life. And again, what are the different components or modules of AI that are being used in all these different applications? We have looked at all of them in detail. Then we have understood the very important aspect of generative AI and analytical AI and the difference between them, and how generative AI is being developed quite aggressively in the past 3 to 5 years. And the progress is, there is a quite a lot of progress in this space. And you have also seen this new emerging concept of prompt engineering. Maybe it will evolve into a proper job role in the near future. We don't know as of now, but there is a possibility, there is a very good possibility for that to happen. So we have seen what prompt engineering is and how you can play around with different prompts to create really good outputs, be it the textual outputs or be it the image outputs. So we have seen all of that. Now, when we are speaking of this generative AI, now by looking at all the recent developments and what we have seen so far, you might be wondering that, okay, then there is no limit to this, and soon everything will be generative AI. You might be wondering in those lines, but again, as with any other technology, this technology also comes with certain limitations. There are a few limitations at this point of time. Now, some of these limitations, maybe you will work and maybe you will work in with a company or as a startup or as an individual, and maybe you will overcome some of these limitations. But right now, there are certain limitations which are being actively worked upon by several people, several researchers, scientists, companies across the world. Now, the technology is still maturing. There is quite a lot of progress in the past 3 to 5 years, but that doesn't mean that it is already very stable and fully evolved. It's not completely evolved. It's still maturing. There is a lot of scope for growth and progress in this space. And a few of the limitations that we can discuss, you can see on the right side, that's a tweet by one of the most prominent machine learning experts. Now, he's saying that large language models like Galactica and ChatGPT, they can spout nonsense. That means they can generate nonsense, which means non-factual information or some random junk. They can generate in a confident and authoritative tone. That means it might give out some very really good poetry which you might enjoy. It might tell you a few jokes which are very funny, and it might create some really good interesting article or some really nice essay. But at the same time, there is also a possibility for it to create some utter nonsense in the same with the same amount of confidence with which it generated these nice jokes or poetry or the other essays. So there is a possibility for it. So we call these as hallucinations. So all these large generative models, they tend to be hallucinatory. So this is one major limitation which many companies, researchers, scientists are trying to work towards. So they are trying to reduce the amount of hallucination that these models do. And in an ideal world, we don't want the models to hallucinate at any point of time, because we don't want it to say to us some very factually incorrect information in a very confident way, because that might, if you rely on that, that might create damage in multiple different ways, right? So that's one limitation that there is right now. And again, since these are very large, sophisticated models, they are very difficult to interpret and fine tune. That means when you give a good prompt, it might give an output, but you don't know what is it that is really happening in these large, sophisticated models. Now, as we discussed, So these models are created by learning the underlying patterns in these huge volumes of data. It is somehow capturing the knowledge in all of this data, but we actually don't know how the knowledge is captured, in what form it is captured, or what kind of knowledge it has captured. We don't know any of it. These are kind of like black boxes where you give some kind of good prompts and you might get some really good outputs, but maybe sometimes, as I have just told you, it might just hallucinate and the output might be very factually incorrect, or some random junk as well. So it is very, these large sophisticated models, they are usually very difficult to interpret what's happening within these models. So sometimes it's also very hard to fine tune them, to for them to give a certain kind of output or a certain kind of something. There is an active research going on in order to fine tune these models, or in order to limit them to produce only certain kinds of outputs. But still, it's in the nascent stages. There needs to be a lot of improvement in this particular aspect. And as I am speaking about some huge volumes of data, when I say huge volumes, it's terabytes of information. And when I speak about the large sophisticated models, so in order to create them, so it needs a lot of computational power. So some of the models are even, in order to create them, the companies have spent millions of dollars as well. So the cost of training is very huge, which means at this point of time, with the current state of the art, so a normal person like a student or a normal employee might not be able to create or build a large language model or a large image model on his own, because it might cost him some hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars. So there is huge cost of training. Again, there is active research going on in order to cut down the training costs as well. Now, apart from these two, there are other kind of social issues associated as well. So there are limitations regarding the legality of this training. Now, when I take all of the internet data, all of the images or all of the textual content on the internet, and if I train these models, now when this model produces a new output, now what do you make of the copyright of this new output? So is it a genuinely newly created content, or is it copied from some of the existing data which it has been trained on? So we don't know, right? So there is this gray area of legality. So the copyrights issues and so many other things. So there is an active debate going on. Some of the countries are making a laws for this. So for example, Japan has recently given out a law saying that any of this AI generated content is legal, which means there are no copyrights applicable or something like that. Maybe you can Google about it and read more details into it if you are really curious about these legal aspects of it. But it is still a gray area. Now, again, governments and different bodies, governing bodies across the world, they have to come up with certain regulations in these aspects. And since these models are capturing some knowledge from the training data, now if there is any bias in the training data, that will be reflected in the outputs of these models as well. So when I say bias, say for example, all of the training data, if it is from say one particular country, now if there are certain cultures in that particular country, now those will reflect in the outputs, the newly created or newly generated outputs from that particular model, right? Now, if the training data is not all inclusive, and if it's not encapsulating all the different people, cultures, and so many other aspects across the world, then it might be biased in a certain way. Say there might be gender bias, racial bias, cultural bias, or so many different forms of bias. So again, this is one significant challenge with all of these large generative models. Because since they are created by using huge amounts of data, now if there is any bias in this data, it will be reflected in the outputs as well. Again, there is an active research going on in order to reduce the bias in these models as well. So these are a few of the limitations. There are a few other limitations as well, but these are the major limitations which many people, researchers are working on in order to overcome these limitations. Maybe you, if you are really interested in the research, you might also in the future do and solve some of these problems and challenges with this, with the generative AI as well. Now, having said all of this, are you interested in creating your own generative AI model? Now, you might be wondering, just now you told that it is not possible for an individual or for a small or for an employer or for a student to create because it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars. How are you going to make me build my own generative AI model? You might be wondering. But don't worry. So what we'll do is we will not build this generative AI model from scratch. But as I have been saying, there are open source models as well. There are few researchers and a large group of people, and there are few organizations, not-for-profit organizations, who are working actively in this AI field. And thanks to them, we now have access to some huge models, the large language models or the large image models, which are open source, which means we can take this model and we can modify this model so that we can change a certain aspect of that particular model and it becomes our own AI model, our own generative AI model. So how to do that? Let's look at it with this hands-on session. So in order for you to build your own generative AI model, you need to know some basic programming concepts, but don't worry about it. I'll teach you everything from zero level. You don't need to have any prior knowledge. We'll learn everything within this session itself, which is very exciting, right? Now, for you to do this well, to build your model well, if you have a laptop, it would be wonderful because this requires you to use, this is a little advanced. So if you have a laptop, then you might be using your keyboard and all, and it will be well. You can also probably try on your mobile phone, but I am not sure how good the tools that we are going to use will work on the mobile phone. So a laptop is ideally recommended for this. Now, the first thing is, like, for most of the data scientists and machine learning engineers, in order to do some experiments, they use a tool called as Colab. So it is Google Colab. So if you just search for Google Colab, you can see the first link, welcome to Collaboratory. So if you haven't used this Collaboratory or Google Colab anytime before, so you can just sign up. There will be a few steps, probably the website will guide you through all of them and you just complete all of it. So once you're done with the sign up and all, you open the link that we will give to you. Along with the session, you will receive a Google Collaboratory link, which you can open. So you can see here the title of this Collab notebook. We usually call this as notebooks. The title of the Collab notebook is Build Your Own Gen AI Model. Now, everything for you is neatly organized within this notebook. So you can see there are different sections here on the left side. You can toggle this panel by clicking this button. So if you click this button, you can see the table of contents here. And then if you can go through all the different things, and everything is neatly organized to you so that you don't have to write too much of a program. All you need to do is some basic fine tuning and gathering your images and things like that. So first of all, if you are new to Google Colab, then what you have to do is, so the moment you open this particular Colab link, so you copy this Collab notebook to your personal drive. So in order to do that, you click this copy to drive button. So once you click the copy to drive button, what happens is the Google Collab, it creates a copy of the same notebook. The same notebook, copy of this entire notebook is created in your personal drive, in your personal Google Drive. So once it is done, then you can see here the title is also changed to Copy of Build Your Own Generative AI Model. Now this is saved. So now that the notebook is saved to your personal drive, now what you can do is any changes that you make to this particular drive will now reflect or will be saved to your personal drive. So that is one good thing. And then once you have saved it, once you have copied it to your personal drive, you can click the connect button here. Now what the connect button does is, it will connect you to a hosted runtime. Now, your laptop need not have a powerful GPU, or your laptop need not have all the required installations that are needed to run whatever we are going to do. So everything will be set up. So all of it happens in the cloud, and you are connected to some cloud computer. So you can also click on this and see that. So there is a system RAM of 12.7 GB allocated to you, and then there is some GPU which is allocated to you, and there is some disk space of approximately 78 GB. So all of this is given by Google to you at free of cost in the free tier. So there are also pro versions of Collab. You don't have to take the pro version as well. This, whatever the notebook that we are giving to you, will run in the free version itself. Now, the first thing that you need to do is you need to mount your Google Drive. So the first step, so there are a few steps here that we need to do overall. So the first step that you need to do is you need to mount your Google Drive. So here you can simply, in order to run a particular cell. Now, before going to the details, let me just, if you are new to Google Colab, let me just show you a few things. So here you can write text or code. Now, if you click on the code button, you can write Python code here. Say something like print hello world. Now, this is a small Python code, one line Python code, hello world. And in order to execute this Python code, you need to simply click on this run button. So if you click the run button, you can see the code is executed, and you can see the output. You don't have to worry about whether you have Python installed, which version of the Python is installed, or anything. You don't need to worry about anything. All you need is a browser. Within the browser, you need to open the Collab notebook. And once you have opened the Collab notebook, you can just copy it to your drive, and you can write whatever code you want and you can execute here. But you don't need to write any of this new code. Don't worry. There will be a few people, when I say a code, they'll get scared. So if you are one of such, don't worry. And if you are one of the guys who enjoys code and all, you can go ahead and look into the details of the code that we have written here. And if you don't want to look at all of it, no problem. This session will be completely beginner friendly. You don't need to have any programming experience. So, but this Collab is a wonderful tool which is used by almost every data scientist and every machine learning engineer in order to run experiments quickly. And now you have learned about this new interesting tool as well, and you can also make use of this tool. So the first step in our process, in order to create your own generative AI model, so the first step here is to mount your Google Drive. For that, just click on this cell. That means you're running this piece of code, and then if you're running it for the first time, it is asking you to permit this notebook access to your Google Drive files. Now you can just click on the connect to Google Drive button, and you probably have to log in if you have not logged in. And if you have logged in, just select the Google account which you want to connect, go down and just click on the allow button. Now once it is done, your Google Drive will be connected to this Collab notebook. So once the this cell, as it keeps running, it might take a little while sometimes for the program to get executed. You can see that it took 40 seconds here for this program to get executed. And once it is done, you can see the output here, mounted at content G drive. Now, in order to cross check whether it is mounted properly or not, on the left side, you can click this folder or the files button, and you can see G drive here. So if you can see the G drive here, you can click the drop down button and you can see my drive, and you can open it and see there will be so many different folders which are in your Google Drive. So this is just a confirmation that your Google Drive is properly mounted. And again, if I click here, I'll go back to my table of contents. Now, again, there are certain dependencies for our code to run. For us to create our own generative AI model, there are a lot of complications underneath, but we made everything simplified for you. All you need to do is click on this run button, and the cell will be executed. So you can see that the dependencies are getting installed. Now, for those of you who are very much keen into understanding and looking into the details, you can click on this show code button. And if you click on the show code button, you can see what we are actually doing with this code. Now, I'm not going to explain the details of what is happening. If you're really interested, you can try to understand and explore it on your own. But for now, all I'm doing is I'm just running this cell, and you can see that all the dependencies required for the further steps will get installed. And once it is done, you can see the done and proceed button. Now, as I have told you before, we don't build this model from scratch, and it takes a lot of human effort, and it also needs a lot of data gathering, and it also needs a lot of computational resources, which means overall it needs a lot of money to be invested as well in order to create these large language models from scratch. So what we are doing in this session is we are taking an existing model, and what we are doing is we are fine tuning that model. So here first we need to download this base model, which is an existing model. Now we can download different versions. You can see version 1.5 or version 2.1. Here we are using the stable diffusion model, the basic stable diffusion model in this particular case. You can also try with the other models and advanced models, but for the sake of this particular tutorial, we will stick with the model version 1.5, and you can select this model 1.5, and we are going to fine tune this particular version, and you can just click on run cell. Now again, all of the model will be downloaded into your Google Drive, so it might take a little while. Whenever you are executing these commands or whenever you are running these cells while using this Google Colab notebook, they might take some time. It might take a few minutes. Sometimes it might even take a little longer. Don't worry. So just wait with patience. You can see that as it is running, you can see here. And at the bottom of the screen, you can also see that executing, and then the duration, the 34 seconds, 35 seconds. By looking at it, you can see that it is not stuck or it is not hung. It is executing. And here you also see the outputs which are being printed as it gets executing. Now, all that is happening right now in this particular section is that we are downloading the base model, which is required for us to fine tune further. Now, once you have downloaded the base model, further, what we will do is we will create a Dream Booth session. So now, as this keeps happening, I'll go further. And once it is done, again, we will come back and look at the output section. Yeah, it is done now. So now the next section is that we need to set up the Dream Booth fine tuning. Now, what is Dream Booth? So basically, we are taking a stable diffusion model. A stable diffusion is a text to image model. And now Dream Booth is a technique with which we can fine tune this stable diffusion model and create our own version of this generative AI model. Stable diffusion is a generative AI model. Now we are fine tuning this generative AI model to create our own model. So in order to do that, first we need to give a session name. Now, the session name can be anything, but for you to get the best results, I suggest you to put the session name a 3-letter, which can be anything. I have put it, but it should not make a word, an English word. Make sure that it is little obscure. It is very weird. It should not be a proper English word. So that's why I have put it XZG, or you can put XZR or anything like that. Or you can put NXT, NXT from Next Wave, or anything like that. So here I am using XZG. And then once you have put the session name, you can just run this cell. And if the session is not there, it will create a new session. If the session is already there in your Google Drive, it will load that particular session. Now, this is the most important part which you need to focus on. So now you have to gather some images. You have to collect images with which you will fine tune this stable diffusion model and create your own generative AI model. You can gather you should gather a minimum of 10 images, and then from the more the images and the better the quality of the images, the better the model that you are going to create will be. So make sure that both the quality and the quantity of the images both are important. So when I say quality, the images should have proper lighting and the sharpness should be good. So the image shouldn't be very ugly or dark shaded or things like that. So try to collect some really good images. So in my case, in order to show you as an example, so what I have done is I have already collected and have put some pet images. You can see here. So I have just collected 6 images. So this is just for a sample, 5 images for a sample for you to show. But then when you are actually doing in practice, make sure that you are gathering some really quality images. You can see the quality of the images is really good here. So you also try to collect images with really good quality. So these images can be of anything. It can be of your pet. It can be of a particular object. Say, for example, you have a really good object and you want to create more artwork using this particular object, then you can collect the images of that object. Or maybe it can be of your somebody's face, maybe Virat Kohli or maybe Sachin Tendulkar or maybe some hero that you like, or anything with which you want to create an artwork or with which you want to generate new images, new photos. So anything, it can be object, it can be your pet or something else, or photos of some person, you can use them. But remember that since this is your first generative AI model, it works best with high quality images, and sometimes it may turn out not to be good, and especially it is very tricky with human faces. So for your first model, I suggest you to try it with some pet animal faces or pet animals or some objects or things like that. And then if you are getting good results, then maybe you can proceed and go on to do with human faces and maybe your favorite somebody like maybe a cricketer or an actor or somebody like that. So high quality images and good number of images both are really important for you to get a good quality model. Now I have these images. Now in order to use these images, what we have to do is all of them should be cropped to the same size. In order to do that, we have an online tool called birme.net. So you can visit this website birme.net, and if you have so many of these images might be in different dimensions and all. So what you'll do is you can simply browse all these images from your computer. So I have it on my desktop in the pet images folder. You can select all these images. So even if the images are in different dimensions, you can just select all of them and open. And you can see here, I need images of width 512 pixel and height 512 pixel. Now if you capture images from your mobile phone and then crop them and do something, they might be of very different dimensions. Don't worry, you open this tool, upload all of them, and then set these parameters to 512 and 512. So, and then you can use this auto detect image focal point, or you can manually adjust each of this. If you want to adjust the where you want to highlight the photo, which part of the photo if you want to highlight, you can adjust them manually as well. And once you have done all of that, you can simply select the download as zip option or save as zip option. This will be downloaded to your laptop or PC. You can just open them and extract them, and they'll be available in the folder. Now all of this will be with the updated, and they look uniform and with the updated 512 by 512 size. You can see, if you can hover on them, you can see the dimensions 512 by 512. Now this is very essential. Now going back to our collab notebook, once your instance images are ready, now if you keep encountering this warning, you are connected to a GPU runtime but not utilizing, just close it, because you're soon going to utilize the GPU. Now comes the next part, which is we are going to train the model. So for that, so first of all, run this cell instance images. Now once you run this cell, whenever you are running this cell, you don't use this smart crop images because we have already cropped the image, so don't tick it. Just run this cell. Now once you run this cell, you will see an option to upload the files. Now click on the choose files and select all the files that you have. Now before uploading the files, one key thing that you have to do is, remember, this is very important, you need to rename all of these files. In order to rename all of these files, in Windows you can just select all of the files and just type whatever the name that you want, and this name should be same as the one that we have chosen for the session. So XZG was the 3-letter word that I have chosen for the session. Whatever the word that you have chosen for the session, use that and rename. So you can see all of them are renamed as XZG 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now whatever it is, the session name that you have chosen, do that. And once you have renamed, then select all of them and then open them. That means you are uploading all of it. Now if you are using Mac or Ubuntu or other platforms, make sure that you have renamed all of the files appropriately. The names should look something like this. XZG, I have chosen XZG because that was the session name that I have chosen. So, and then you can see that these are the names of the files are same as that session name. Now I have uploaded, done, proceed to the next cell. Now what you do here is you need to add captions. So this might be optional. You can do it or cannot, but adding the captions might work well. I mean, it might give a better model for you. So don't leave any chance behind when you can make your model better. So which is why I am trying to add a few captions here. You can see I'm just in order to add the caption, you can simply click on the image name and then you can see the image, and on the right side write the caption. Say for example here, the caption should include the XZG, the session name or the token. So I am writing it as, this is a dog basically, so I am writing it as a photo of XZG dog standing. And once you have written it, you have to click the save button. Now similarly, go to each and every image and then write a caption for that particular image. So adding captions will give the model a better understanding of what you are trying to do. So you are trying to teach the model that XZG. So understand here, what you're trying to do is you're trying to teach the model that XZG represents your pet. In this particular case, all of these are the photos of your pet, right? When you try to create an image from these large text to image models, and when you say that image of a dog, the model can pick any dog, right? Any kind of a dog. It won't give you the image of your dog. But now what you're trying to do here is you're trying to train the model about how your dog looks like, so that in the future you want to use this, you want to use these images of your dog so that you want to see your dog in some other way. Maybe you want to look at the image of your dog on a beach, or maybe you want to create a new image of your dog in a green garden or something like that. So you are trying to make the large model understand the concept of your dog and differentiate it from general dogs. So for that, you are explicitly writing something like a close-up photo of XZG dog. Now in future, whenever you refer to this particular token XZG, that means the model will understand that it should use your dog. So now in this particular case, it's about a dog, but then it can be of a person or any other object or car or any building or anything. So that's how we will train these large language models, so that we can add our particular input. So we are fine-tuning the large language model with our particular personal data here. Here, the data is that of our dog, right? Now, I'm not going into any technical details, but again, simply you can understand that you need to write these captions for it to work better. And in some of the cases, it might even work without the captions as well. But remember that in the future, whenever you are generating these new images, you need to use the same token XZG. In my case, it is XZG. Whatever the token that you have chosen, you need to use the same token for the generative model to understand that you want it to create your dog's image or your pet animal's image or anything like that. Now, we need to add captions for all of this. I'm not doing right now in the session, but you have to do that. So once you have done, you need to click the save button at all the locations. Once that is done, then we are coming to the final part, which is where you are training. So whenever you are training, again, there are so many parameters here. You need to fine tune these parameters. By default, you can use the existing parameters here, but you can always play around with these parameters. Now, I'm not going into the details explaining what each and every parameter does. By default, in this notebook, you can use whatever the parameters that are available here, and you can simply run this particular cell. Now, when you run this cell, it will take quite a lot of time. Running this particular cell often takes anywhere between 15 to 30, 40 minutes. Now, don't worry, you need to wait here with patience. So what you'll do is, if a certain set of parameters don't work in your particular scenario, now most of the cases the default parameters will work. Now if your particular parameters don't work, what you have to do is you have to change these parameters. The guidelines to change the parameters are written here itself within the notebook. Now remember that machine learning is a lot about fine tuning and experimenting. Now, no machine learning engineer will get the perfect model for the first time. There is always an experimentation cycle. So you come up with a model, you see that the model might not be good enough, and then you will change the parameters, you'll tweak the parameters, and then you'll run it again, and maybe you'll get better results this time. So there is this experimentation process going on with any machine learning in any machine learning project. And here also, if you don't get really good outputs for the first time, don't worry. This is the first time you are training a machine learning model. Remember that you have learned a lot of things today. So we have learned a lot of things. Just try to recollect the number of things that you have learned today, and you're trying to build your own machine learning model, and this is the first time you are building your machine learning model. Don't expect everything to be perfect. So don't worry, even if the output is not perfect, but enjoy the process. You are learning many new things. You have learned about collab and how to use collab. You have downloaded an existing stable diffusion model, and you are trying to make changes on top of it. You have collected some data, and you are doing so many things. Enjoy the process, and don't get disappointed if the outputs are not that great for the first time. You keep trying, you keep iterating, your outputs will get better and better. You can see that the training is in progress, and as long as the training is in progress, you can see this progress bar. So right now it is training the text encoder. Once the text encoder training is finished, it will train the unit, which is the image model. All of this together might take from anywhere between 15 to 35, 40 minutes. So I'll just jump to that particular part where the model training is finished. Once the training is done, you look at an output something like this. So done. The C.K.C model is in your G drive in the sessions folder. Now, once the training is done, the model will be created and it will be uploaded to your Google Drive so that you can access it anytime further. Now, the next time when you open this notebook, what you can do is when you click on the session name, when you write the same session name, and when you click on the run button, it will load the session. When it loads the session, this model, which is already created, will be available to you. So now that the model training is done, that means you have successfully created your first own generative AI model. Now, it's time to test what this model is. So in order to test the model, you need to go to this test the train model section. And in this section, you need to first run this particular cell. So if you run this cell, you can see an output, which is an IP address. So you have to keep this IP address as it is, and then go to the next section and run this cell. Now, if you run this cell, you can see it might take a little while, but then you can see an output something like this. And with the output, you can see a URL. So once you get this URL, once you see the URL, you can click on the URL and the URL will be opened in a new window. Now it might take a little while for the URL to be opened. And when you open the URL, you can see that it is asking for you to enter an IP address. Here, you need to enter this IP address, which we have just got here. So this IP address, you just make a copy of it, you enter it, and then click to submit. Now, once you click, you can see that it opens up a new UI. So in this UI, you can see that the xzg.ckpt is loaded. That means your model is loaded here, and now you can use your model to generate text to images. Now, in order to generate the text to image with this model, what I will do is I'll write a prompt. Now, I want to visualize my dog in a beach. So in order to do that, and I'm also going to use some of the prompting techniques that we have learned, because if I just write my xzg dog in a beach, then it might not give a really good looking image. So since I want it, I'll use certain prompting techniques as well, and then I'll do it. In this case, I have already written a prompt. So I'm just going to paste this prompt. So a beautiful photograph of XZG playing on a beach. So a beautiful photograph of XZG dog playing on a beach. Because now I don't want any random dog to be on the beach. I want my own dog, the images with which I have modified. So that is why I'm using this token XZG. Remember, you also have to use this particular token, whichever that you have created with, so that it will be reflected in the final output. Again, with cool blue waters in the background, 8K UHD DSLR. Now, all of this was some of the prompts suggested on the internet to get really good quality outputs, which I'm using. And you can see there is a section called negative prompt, which means the positive prompt, the prompt indicates what kind of image that you want, and the negative prompt indicates what is it that you don't want. Now again, I have a standard negative prompt, which is again copied from internet. So here I have deformed, low quality, blurry. So I don't want it to be blurry, deformed, low quality, missing arms, missing legs. So there are so many of this. You can Google for standard negative prompts for stable diffusion, and then you can get all of this and you can add them. And then whenever we have created this custom our own model, so it is usually suggested that the sampling method to use is DDIM. So it is better if you use a DDIM sampling method, and the sampling steps also should be somewhere between 80 to 100 or somewhere between 80 to 120. Approximately 100 steps will work good. And then you need to you can use a high res fix. So, and then you don't have to do much with the all of these different other settings, but denoising strength, turn it down somewhere maybe to 0.33 or something like that. And then usually it should be somewhere between 0.25 to 0.45. That usually gives really good results. And then that's it. So these are the different things. You can also try experimenting with all these other parameters, but before experimenting too much, try to stick to the default values. And then once you got familiar with all of these things, you can Google about all these individual parameters and experiment with them in order to get some really good outputs. Now I'm going to click the generate button, which will generate the image. You can see that it's in the process. So it's saying that waiting, and now it might take a little while since this is running in the collab and it is being rendered to you. So it might take a little while. You can see that an image is getting created. You can see the steps, different steps. Since we have put the sampling steps to be 80, it will take a little longer. If the sampling steps is less, it might be created much faster. But use sampling steps somewhere around 80 to 120, which usually works good when we create our own models. So now you can see that an image is being generated. So it might take a little while sometimes, but you can see, you can observe the features. So it is looking something similar to the dog that we gave in the inputs. Now, this is really good, right? Now, sometimes the similarity might not be really good. Sometimes it might look really similar. So you need to keep experimenting on two things. One is with the different parameters that you have here, and the other is the different parameters that we have used while training. So keep experimenting with both of them, and you might end up with some of the good models and with good outputs. And if you really get some good outputs, share them and share your model with your friends, and tell them that you have created your own generative AI model and you have used it to generate the outputs, and then you can share it in the social media. The output is loaded now. You can see the output here. Definitely this is not in any of the images that we have given as input. So all the images that we have given as input, it doesn't contain any of this. Now I have asked for a image on the beach with a cool blue water in the background. You can see all of the description, and you can see the image of a dog, and this dog is not very different from the dog that I have given in the inputs. It doesn't look completely similar. I'm not satisfied fully, but still it looks very close to the dog that we have given as an input, right? So now this is how we have created our own model, and now using the prompt, you can see that in the prompt we have mentioned XZG dog. So using this prompt, we can create multiple images of XZG, maybe in the green garden, in the mountains, wherever we want, playing with football, playing with volleyball, or whatever the different kinds of imagination that you have. Now you don't get any random dog, but you can use your own pet. Now similarly, as I have told you before, you can use your own objects or maybe persons, faces, or things like that. Try to avoid faces in the beginning. Maybe use objects or pets or other photos, so that you will get really good outputs. And once you get really good outputs, then you can try with faces and other things as well. Now definitely it might need a lot of time for you. So each time it takes 30 to 40 minutes to train the model, and then the output might not be as expected. You might have to retrain the model, and then you might have to use the different settings here in order to get the image that you exactly want. You have just seen how you can create your own generative AI model. It's so cool, right? Now with that, maybe you can create your own generative AI model and do some interesting things. Now, not just that, there are some endless opportunities in the AI which have opened up. Not just with the generative AI, there are opportunities with the traditional analytical AI as well. And with this generative AI, there are more and more opportunities that are coming up. So Sundar Pichai, he's the CEO of Alphabet. He said that AI, at a conference, he quoted that AI is more important than fire or electricity as an innovation. Now just think about it. Think about the statement. AI is more important than fire or electricity as an innovation. Which means, just imagine how your life would be without electricity. Say basic necessities. So right from when you wake up, if you turn on your light maybe, or then you turn on the geyser and everything. So you have a smartphone, it is being charged with electricity. So just can you imagine your life without electricity right now? Similarly, what he means is that maybe 15, 20 years down the line, you cannot imagine your life without artificial intelligence. So that's how important an invention or a technology artificial intelligence is going to be. So That means definitely it's going to impact us, all of us, impact the way we live completely. It's going to transform all of our lives in so many different ways, right? McKinsey Global, which is one of the top research firms, so it is also called as one of the big four in the US. So according to their reports, AI is estimated to create an additional $13 trillion of value annually by 2030. So just imagine $13 trillion of value annually. That means every year by the year 2030. So that's huge amount of value, right? Now, how is it going to be created? It's not going to be created out of thin air, which means there is huge amount of opportunity for people like you and me to create startups, or maybe for there are huge job opportunities, and there are so many other opportunities. So you can see that according to the WEF, so they have predicted that artificial intelligence is going to create 97 million new jobs by 2025. So these are the huge opportunities that are there in the AI space. Now we have seen how generative AI is just taking off, and how there has been a lot of progress in the analytical AI, and it has almost become a part of our life. We are using tons of applications of analytical AI. But you might still be wondering why all of this is happening now. So is AI just being started like 15, 20 years ago? No, there has been AI has been there from a long time. So the word AI, artificial intelligence, was first coined in 1950. From then on, there has been a lot of progress. There has been a lot of work, but the progress in the past decade, especially, is quite a lot. So why is it so? Because there are three major factors that are contributing to the rise in the artificial intelligence and machine learning. One is the exponential growth in the computing power. So just you go back 10 to 15 years ago. Just think about computers back then, 15 years ago. The computers were very huge. They were very slow compared to the computers now. And right now, even my smartwatch is capable of more computational power than a huge computer 15 to 20 years ago. So there is an exponential growth in the computational power. There are specialized processors which can which can run these machine learning algorithms, and which can learn these underlying patterns in the data. So there is huge growth in the computing power, which is one of the major factors for the rise in the AI. The second major factor is the ton of data, the volume of data. There are huge volumes of data that is being created every day, especially with the rise in social media, the Instagram, the Netflix, the YouTubes. So people are consuming huge amounts of data. That means they're watching, reading content every day, and there are people who are producing this content as well. Because there is consumption, there are people who are also producing. So if you see YouTube shorts, Instagram shorts, there are thousands of thousands of hours of content that is being produced every day. You can see the numbers there. These are a little older stats now. They might have even jumped up a bit, but some quintillion bytes of data is created each day on the internet. So the second major factor is this huge volumes of data that is being produced. And the third, of course, is the research. So every day, more than 100 new ML papers, machine learning papers, are being published in various different journals or universities. So you can see the amount of research that is being put into the AI and machine learning space. So these are the three major factors for the artificial intelligence to take off like never before. So like no other technology. So these are the three broad categories. If you just ever question yourself, so why all of this hype all of a sudden right now? Why is there so much innovation in the AI space, or why is the progress quite a lot? Why are there so many jobs that are being created? If you are wondering, so these are the three major factors that were playing a key influential role in the rise of AI, and they will play the role going further as well. Now, for you, in order to capture this opportunity, again, what you can do is there are multiple different career roles in AI and ML. First of all, you might become an entrepreneur. If you learn all of these cutting edge technologies, you might become an entrepreneur and you can create startups in these technologies, because there are a lot of problems which can be solved. You have seen, we have discussed a few of the limitations. You can overcome them and you can solve those. And by solving those problems, you can create your own company and startup. Or you can make use of these new technologies and you can build applications on top of these new technologies. So there is scope for hundreds and hundreds of applications. We have just discussed a very few possibilities in this today's session. So you can just think about so many wide varieties of applications of generative AI. So you can start your own applications. You can start your own startup, which might go to millions of people, right? And you might also join these such new startups or companies or even multinational companies. And there are so many different roles that are opened. So there are machine learning researcher role. You can become a core machine learning engineer. You can become an applied machine learning engineer. You can become a data analyst who works on the data. You can become data scientist, data engineer. There are so many new roles. And as we discussed in today's session, prompt engineering is also becoming a job role, and they are paid quite heavily too. So you can also become a prompt engineer as well. Now, if I told you there is a job role called prompt engineer, and you can apply for the job role 2 years ago, so would you have listened to me? Or it would be very absurd to speak about a role called prompt engineer. What does he do? He'll just write some prompts to some large language model or a large image model. It sounds weird, right? But right now it became a possibility now. Now some of the companies are even hiring prompt engineers. So there is a meme you can see on the slide. So previously people used to do some special purpose software. So build some special purpose computers, and then how it evolved from there. So it's a meme. It's an internet meme. Don't take it too seriously. It's just a meme. But that's how the technology is evolving. That's how the space is evolving. And you have learned quite a lot in today's session. Let's quickly review what we have seen. So we have seen we have started with ANI versus AGI. We have seen the creation of intelligent machines and the differences between AI, ML, and deep learning. Then we have seen the different AI applications, especially the ANI, artificial narrow intelligence applications that we are using today. And then we have seen the differences between analytical AI and generative AI. We have looked at what prompt engineering is and how the different prompts give out different outputs, and why prompt engineering is important and how it might evolve as a job role. And we have also understood a few of the current limitations of generative AI. Now, all is not completely positive and like a la la land for generative AI. There are certain limitations as well. We have discussed them in detail too. You have understood all of those. And you have, most importantly, you have seen how you can build your own generative AI model. So now if you can go and flaunt about it with your peers or with your family or with some techie. So even some tech people, they might not be able to do this thing which you have did in today's session, right? So you have done something quite significant. You must be very proud of it. And now we have seen that there are endless opportunities in AI. Now, it is very important for you to, as you have just understood, you might have understood that it is very important for you to stay updated with this latest technologies. So you need to build the skills which are relevant in the industry. Now, as we have seen, there are so many jobs that are going to be created in the AI space. But if you are not ready, if you are not well equipped with all the different things that you need to know in order to do that job, then they won't hire you, right? If somebody else is learning all these new things, is getting up to date with all the latest knowledge and all the skills that are relevant in the industry. Now, it is very important for you to build the industry relevant skills, because the industry is evolving rapidly and you need to keep up to date with it. Now, if you have the industry relevant skills, definitely you can create your own companies which will compete in the industry. Or if you want to do a really good job out there, then the industry will come looking after you because you are equipped with all those skills, right? So it is very important for you to stay up to date with all the latest happenings in this industry and learn and build the industry relevant skills. For that, you need to start as early as possible. Now that is very important. Don't think that I can do this just before applying for a job. I'll sit for 2-3 months and I'll learn everything. So that becomes very hard. So for you to be industry ready, you need to start as early as possible and you need to start building these skills. So probably I think I suggest you to start straight away, because we have learned quite a few things in today's session. Start building upon them. So do some prompt engineering. So try to create some new artwork, be it poetry or images or something. Share it with your friends. Keep up to date, and then you can do so many different interesting things. But start early and stay up to date. Build relevant industry skills. So that's very important in this competitive world and in this world which is changing quite rapidly. From the things that you have learned in today's session, you can make two very interesting projects. The first one is based on the prompt engineering techniques that you have learned, and the second one is based on the Google Colab, where you have built your own generative AI model. Now, post the session, you will be shared a link using which you can submit these projects as well. And along with this link, you will also get your unique project submission code. Now, each of you will have a different project submission code, and whenever you are submitting your project, you should make use of this unique project submission code. Now, let me show you how you can submit your projects or upload your projects. So the first thing is, for the prompt engineering project, all you have to do is you need to create a Google Doc. Now, this is very simple. Let me just show you a sample. You can see it on the screen. So now this is just a simple Google Doc which I have created using the things that we have already done in the session. So the title of the Google Doc should be Prompt Engineering Mini Project - Next Wave. And here in the place of the submission code, you insert your unique submission code that you will receive post the session. So here the submission code can be something like whatever it is, the unique submission code, you insert it. I'm just writing a random code now. Now what you will do in this Google Doc is, you will document the different prompt engineering techniques that you have tried. For example, in this session, we have tried a prompt engineering technique on essay on friendship, and the another one is a hotel room with stunning views. Now, these prompt engineering techniques can be on the text models like ChatGPT, Bard, or other text models that we have discussed, or they can be on the image models as well. The Stable Diffusion image model using the Dream Studio or the Dolly or the other different tools. Now, whatever it is, first write a title for whatever the thing that you are trying. Here I have tried essay on friendship, so that's the title. So you can use a heading here in the Google Doc as a heading 2 or heading 1, and within that what I'm doing is I'm documenting the different prompts that I have tried and the corresponding outputs. You can see that I have just listed it as prompt 1, and then the output 1, again prompt 2, output 2, and prompt 3, output 3. So like this, you might have tried 10 prompts or 5 prompts, or how many number of prompts that you have tried. Within this scope, put all the prompts and the corresponding outputs. So if you see here, you can see that my prompts are: write me a very short essay on friendship, write me a very short paragraph not exceeding 200 words on friendship. This paragraph should be a little funny. And then I have changed it to write me a very short paragraph not exceeding 200 words on friendship in the style of Mark Twain. All of these are related to essays on friendship. And then I have used different prompts. I have engineered them to come up with different outputs. I am just documenting all of them. Now, similarly, for the image models as well, you can write the prompt here. So see, you can see that the prompt is a hotel room, and the output, you can just insert the image and you can upload it from your computer, and you can upload the image that you have got, whatever the one that you have liked for that particular prompt. And then prompt 2, hotel room with good views and the image. And prompt 3, I have improved the prompt. If you observe, I have been improving the prompt, and with the prompt 3, there is a little more detailed prompt and the output. So in this way, you might have tried different kinds of prompt engineering techniques, or you might have started with a prompt, you got an output, you have improvised it, you got another output, and you have improvised it further. So you may try, say, 5 prompts or 10 prompts or however number of prompts. You document them in this particular format. So this is one mini project, and once you have done this, what you'll do is you click on the share button and you make this available to anyone with the link. So once you have made this available to anyone with the link, don't forget to change the share properties. Here you should make it available to anyone with the link. And once you have done that, you can copy the link and you can use this link to submit in the project submission link that we will give to you. So post the session, you will be shared a project submission link along with the unique code. Once you have opened this project submission link, there will be guidelines on where to paste these different links. So this is the prompt engineering mini project. So the submission for this project is the link to the Google document, and make sure that you have enabled the shares settings as anyone with the link. So don't forget, otherwise we will not be able to view this document and evaluate your project submission. Now, this is the first project that you can submit based upon different prompt engineering techniques, be it the textual prompt engineering techniques or the image prompt engineering techniques. You can just copy and paste them in this Google Doc in a neat format, and you can submit it. And then comes the second project, which is the project that you have worked on using the Google Colab. In order to make this project submission easier for you, we have added a last section in the Google Colab notebook that is shared to you. So the title of this section is Upload Trained Model to Hugging Face. Now what you'll do is you will just run this cell and you will upload the models and everything that you have done into the Hugging Face. Now Hugging Face is again another website which allows most of the machine learning engineers to upload the different models that they have built. So if you have not used it before, don't worry. All you have to do is you have to search for Hugging Face in Google. The first link that you'll find will be of the official Hugging Face. Otherwise, you can directly visit the huggingface.co website. And then you need to click the sign up button. So once you have clicked the sign up, it asks you to create a new account using your email address, and you can set a new password here. And once you have signed up, it might ask you for a confirmation with the email. They'll send you an email so that you can confirm the email address. And once the sign up process is finished, that means you will have your own account in the Hugging Face. Once you have created your Hugging Face account, all you need to do is you need to sign in to the Hugging Face account in the same browser that you are using, where you are working on. And then once you have logged in, what you'll do is you come to this upload trained model to Hugging Face section, and then here in the name of your concept, whatever the concept that you have tried. Here in my case, I have tried my pet dog XZG. So this is the concept that I have tried. You can name the concept that you have tried based upon whatever the model that you have built. And then remember to paste your unique project submission code here. So whatever the unique project submission code is, now here I am just entering a random number, but post the session, you will be sent your unique project submission code along with the submission link. Now enter that unique project submission code. This will be different for different users. So enter your own unique project submission code. And once you do that, click here where it is written create a write access token. So now if you click here, it will open the Hugging Face page. Now I am assuming that you have already logged in your browser. If you have already logged in to Hugging Face account in the same browser, it will open a page something like this. Now here what you'll do is you'll click on the new token button, and here what's this token for? This token is for you to upload your Dream Booth project. So just write Dream Booth project, and then in the role select the right option, and then you generate a token. Once you have generated a token, you can copy the token here. So you just copy the token, and once you have copied the token, you come back and you need to insert your token here. You need to insert your Hugging Face token here. So this is the Hugging Face token in my case, so I'm inserting it here. And once you have inserted it, you can run this cell. Now remember that if you are on the same session, so whenever you have built the model, if you are on the same session and if all of the session is loaded, you can directly run this cell. Otherwise, what you have to do is you need to make sure that you have mounted your Google Drive and you have installed all the dependencies, and in the Dream Booth fine tuning setup cell, there you go to this particular Dream Booth fine tuning setup section, and in that there is this create or load a session. Now whatever the session that you have previously created, if you have previously created it, then write the session name. The session name is XZG in my case, and then run this cell so that the session will be loaded. In my case, I have already loaded this session, which is why it is showing like this. So you have to load the session before uploading it. If you are already working on the session and if you are uploading at the end of the session, then that's fine. You don't have to load the session again. But if you want to upload it at some other point in time, you need to mount the Google Drive, install the dependencies, and then load the session. And then you don't have to do the training and all the other steps. You can directly come to upload the trained model to Hugging Face section, and you can run this particular cell here. Now, once you run the cell, it will load the model and it will try to upload this model to the Hugging Face account. Now this might take some time. You can see that the cell is getting executed and you can see the loading button here. Now it might take a while. I'll jump to the part once it has uploaded this to the Hugging Face account. So it might take a couple of minutes sometimes. So you need to wait patiently here. And you can see that once it is loaded, it will show something like upload sample images of the model. Now, if there are any sample images that you have created using the model that you have trained, you choose the files and you upload all the different sample images that you have generated using the model. Now, here, since I don't have anything right now, I'm generating some random image just to show you. So once you have uploaded it, you can see that it will be in the process and it will take some time to upload the image. You can even select multiple images and upload the images. Once the images are uploaded, now the model starts uploading. So you can see uploading to Hugging Face and the progress icon. And again, this might take a couple of minutes or even more than that. So I'll again skip to that part. You can see that there are multiple different files regarding this model that are being uploaded to Hugging Face. You can see the progress. Now, depending upon the size of the model and these different files and your internet speed, this might sometimes even take up to 5 to 10 minutes as well. So you need to patiently wait until everything in this model regarding this model gets updated. So once everything is updated or uploaded, you'll get a link. And I'll just skip to the part where you'll get the link. So once the Hugging Face upload is completed, you'll see something like this. Your concept was saved successfully. And then you'll get a link. Click here to access it. Now, if you just click it here, whatever the project that you have submitted, you will see it in the Hugging Face. So even if you open your Hugging Face and log in, you will find this project. Or if you use this link and click it, you will again come to this particular project, and you can see that whatever the project submission code that you have used, you will see that particular code here, and you can see the description, whatever the description or the name that you have added, my pet dog XZG. So you will see the name of that and then a small description, and whatever the sample picture, this was actually not the sample picture that I have generated using, but in order to show you that you can add a few sample pictures, I have just added it. But when you are doing it, add the proper sample pictures that you have generated using the model that it is there. And once you have got this, so this link, the Hugging Face link, is the one which you can submit it as your second mini project. So the first mini project was the Google Doc link that you could submit, and the second mini project is the Hugging Face link which you can submit. And remember that submit your own link which you have created, because it contains your own project submission code which is unique to you. And once you have generated this link, you can even share this to your friends, and you can ask them to create their own text to image. So you can enter any, again here, XZG on a bicycle. So I can write something like this, and I can click on the compute button, and it will load the model, whatever the model that you have uploaded, it will load the model, and it will try to run this particular text to image generation on the model that you have uploaded. So you can happily share this Hugging Face link with your friends or anybody else, and ask them to use the model that you have created. Very interesting, right? So overall, in this way, you can make two different project submissions. So the first one is the prompt engineering project, and the second one is the fine-tuned image model. So all the best to you. You can do the two very interesting projects. I recommend you to do them and submit them. Thank you. All the best.